And we're back at Four Winds, Pastor Redeker and Pastor Schmidt, and we're on How to Care this week, chapters 2 through 5. So hopefully you've been kind of chewing on the chapters, thinking about them, just taking your time and drawing the book together. And what's something that stuck out to you about this book?
Well, what I really liked was in these couple of chapters is here's where Pastor Newman goes through with the heritage or our lineage of caring for people. And what does it mean to care for people? You know, it starts from the heart, where Christ has changed our heart from a heart of rock to a heart of flesh. And so what do we do then with this heart? Well, are we to stay in our homes? Are we to stay in our offices? Are we to stay where we're at? Or do we get the good news out? And he goes through in these couple of chapters about the urgency and really the genuineness of loving and caring for other people, caring about their eternities. Do you really care that there are people going to hell or not? The Christian should be caring. And that comes out in the way we live out our lives and our relationships with one another. But really, one of the things that stuck out for me was he tells a story about a grandfather that came, immigrated into America. And he was Greek. And the grandfather married a French gal from France. These two came together. They were here, strangers in a strange land, really not knowing what to do. I don't know if they were connected to a church much or not. But this Lutheran pastor connected up with them. And he performed their marriage ceremony. Not in a church, but he was willing to do it at City Hall. See, our pastor's willing to go out of the box. Our congregation's willing to go out of the box. Our congregation's willing to do things differently for the sake of those who are lost or not used to what church is about, or do congregations want to just stay in the same old way that we've always done it, and then they out there need to change to become like us? This pastor here worked with this family. They came in, they had kids. The wife died early, and so the pastor did the burial. The children were incorporated into the church, and it turns out that this Greek and French husband and wife ended up being the grandparents of Pastor Mike Newman. And he was directly then influenced by the genuine love of this Christian pastor, this Lutheran pastor, and by the Christian love of this Lutheran congregation that embraced them just as they were. Didn't make them change to the congregation, but how the congregation went out and embraced them and brought them in. It's because of that the children then ended up going to Lutheran schools, including Pastor Mike Newman. And Pastor Newman has this genuine love because it was in his family. So that's one of the things that really struck me about this, is how not only does it affect a person or a couple, but how God also uses that to go down to the next generation and the next generation. Just like what God says in the Pentateuch in those first 5 chapters,
blessings to generations,
thousands of generations after them.
Yeah.
What struck you?
Well, just to piggyback off of that, that's one of the reasons why we're doing these videos here and not necessarily at church. We have a beautiful church and school with plenty of rooms, and you can use them for Bible studies anytime, but sometimes you have to go out and reach out first and share God's love and be there for those around you. And especially at Four Winds with the Christ Center, it's an asset for CMU and how we can reach out to the students and how we can keep being there, especially for people who are new to the faith, who might not feel comfortable coming over to church right away or over to our house right away. You can kind of meet them where they are, to tell them that Jesus came to us, so we're going to go to you too.
Because doesn't the light, it doesn't stay right where it's at, but that light shines out into a direction to attract them.
Yeah, perfect. So there's some really great questions for you this week. Something that we're going to hit home on this sermon for Father's Day is tied in with this quote from page 17. I wonder if the decline of the Western Church in the 21st century is caused not by the changing culture, a shorter attention span, Everyone thinks shorter now. The dominance of the media, the rise of materialism, or the drumbeat narrative of secular humanism. I wonder if the decline is caused by our diminishing love for people. And that goes with this other quote. Young people today worry that the message of the church has become one of self-preservation rather than one of world restoration. We're so worried about ourselves, and if the church is going to last forever, Scripture promises it will. The church of God lasts forever. We just need to be the church and to be there for those in the world, to love them, to care for them, to bring them home with us. All right, see you next week.
Have a great weekend, Lord.